Warning: the following video is a satire. It is not to be taken seriously by anyone, anywhere. If you can't take a joke, don't watch this video. If you don't like foul language, do not watch this video. You have been warned. If you choose to watch this video, you understand the rights that you have and don't have. You have the right to enjoy it. You have the right to hate it. You do not have the right to complain about the fact that it has foul language and that it could be offensive. I told you, this is a satire. It's a joke. Only women and gay men are victims of sexual assault. Obviously not a fact. Homosexual, heterosexual, transgender, and bisexual men can all be victims of sexual assault. It is estimated that 1 in 20 and 1 in 50 men have experienced childhood abuse, sexual abuse. I say it's not a fact. I think it's higher. 1 in 4 and 1 in 7 were sexually abused as children. That's how fucked up this world is. 1 in 4 and 1 in 7 women and men were sexually abused as children. But there is some kind of silver lining. Child abusers, when they get sent to prison, are usually the target for the other prisoners, because even in the eyes of murderers, thieves, child abuse is the lowest form of crime. Let's review the facts. Most men will never commit a sexual assault in their lifetime. Sexual assault is unwanted sexual conduct that is short of rape, while rape is forced intercourse. 50% of all sexual assaults, including rape, involve alcohol used by the perpetrator. Alcohol is the most common date rape drug. If a person under the influence has sex but does not remember the incident, his or her partner can be indicted for rape. 1 in 33 men are raped during their lifetime, and 1 in 7 experience a childhood sexual abuse. The vast majority of men think it is important to have a partner's consent for sex. Let's move on. What does consent mean? How can you determine whether two people have both consented to sex? Here are 4 questions to ask yourself. Are both parties impaired by alcohol or drugs? Are both parties able to act freely? Have both parties clearly communicated their permission? Are both parties being honest about their desires? No means no. No means no. Get it? Whether alcohol or drugs are involved, it's not always easy to tell if a person is really with it enough to give consent. Imagine that a friend is drunk enough that she is having trouble standing or sitting up. She can't even walk on her own, doesn't even know where she is. Is that person really in the right state of mind to give her permission for sexual activity? Of course not. If you thought otherwise, what the fuck, man? Surroundings. A person who's not fully aware of his or her surroundings cannot give consent. Are both parties able to act freely? When you consent to do something, you must be free to change your mind. A person should always be able to say no at any point during sexual activity for any reason, even if he or she has previously given consent. There are times when someone might be incapable of saying no, even if he or she wants to. That person may remain silent out of fear of being harmed or verbally abused by a partner. Both parties clearly communicated their permission. It is absolutely essential that both partners talk openly about sex. It is best to discuss each person's willingness to have sex before any sexual activity. To avoid confusion, both partners should be very clear about their decision. Their decision should be black or white, either yes or no. They should also acknowledge each other's right to stop any time for any reason, and never rely on unclear signals. Are both parties being honest about their desires? As we discussed, talking about sex with a partner is absolutely necessary. In order to have real consent, the communication needs to be 100% honest. Be straight with one another. Talk. Make your thoughts known. Sexual assault in the law. According to a recent study, an alarming 90% of women who are raped actually know the person who raped them. All forms of sexual assault have several legal consequences and often result in university discipline as well. Here are a few examples. In some states, a person can be charged for committing sexual assault 10 to 15 years after the crime was committed. In some states, a person who has committed rape can be imprisoned for life. In some states, a person who has committed domestic violence can be sentenced to spend time in prison, pay a fine, and participate in community service. At some institutions, a person can be found responsible for sexual misconduct if his or her actions meet the legal definition of sexual assault or rape, even if a person was not charged with a crime off campus. At some institutions, a person who has committed sexual assault or rape can be expelled from the university, and at some universities, hold the person accountable for his or her actions against another student, including assault and rape, no matter where they occurred, either on or off campus, in another state or in another country. When it comes to sexual assault, every state and campus offers different laws and policies. Knowing how to intervene. Now that you know some of the facts about sexual assault and rape, let's see how you apply this knowledge to real-life scenarios. We all know there's a difference between right and wrong. It means certain things that we just won't do. But what about when we see someone else doing something we think is wrong? Do we mind about our business, or do we intervene? Being an active bystander could save someone a painful experience. And if we see someone getting into what they think might be a dangerous situation, the following pages provide realistic scenarios. Use what you've learned to choose the best course of action to deal with the problem presented. Alright, now we've got to play hero. We're going to get a video. It's going to explain to us the situation at hand. We need to follow the right path. Alright, there's going to be a party. There's going to be some bitches. But one of your friend, who's perhaps a bitch himself, is going to try to get a woman drunk, try to sleep with her. It's going to ask us, what can we do? You can either ignore it, laugh along, or tell Dan you don't want to hear him talk about anyone like that. This is the best move. Ignoring the inappropriate comment is not going to help the situation. It can be tough to speak up when you hear or see something you disagree with, or don't like. You don't want to start something when people are just trying to have fun. But at the same time, you don't want to support this kind of behavior. It might give you and your friends a bad reputation. So speak up. I'm going to do another part of the situation. Alright? That asshole decided he was going to do what he said he was going to do anyway, though we told him to back up. Now we got to deal with this. We can don't do anything. We talk to him later. We track down one of Laura's roommates so that she can deal with the situation, or we can pull Dan aside and tell him he needs to back the fuck up. And I think that's what we need to do. He needs to get a hard lesson. This is a good move, according to Alcoholedu. Someone needs to tell him he's crossing a line. He's drinking, and Laura's in no condition to give consent. You might need some backup for this, but you gotta get him to lay off. Let's listen to the next part of the video. Alright, Dan just don't want to fucking let it go. Told him to back off, but he got defensive. Then he took Laura to a bedroom. Shit don't sit right with me. Let's see what the choices are. There's nothing you can do at this point. You did your best. You can knock on the door, ask her if everything is okay. You can enter the room with a group of friends try to break up the situation. That's what we're going to do. Obviously, we're not going to wait around 5 minutes for shit to start happening. We're going to go in there fucking right now. Break down the door, SWAT style. Okay, we've tried talking to him, tried to intervene in more subtle ways, but now direct intervention, motherfucking intervention, is what the doctor ordered. Get a group of my brothers and sisters, we break down that door. Whatever it takes. Keep in mind, we're not just helping Laura, we're helping Dan too. Dan's gonna fuck himself over.